Cyber Operation and Risk Management Briefing. Thank you for listening to this presentation. Introduction. The briefing derived from the software development life cycle assessment and the matrix we did for our project. Major focus point. We will identification of the software assurance need and expectation of the organization. Key attribute of the current software development life cycle SDLC. No supply chain risk, vulnerability in the existing software use, software option and recommendation for the organization, supply chain option and recommendation, costs involved in recommendation, control language to ensure supply chain, system, network, and operation security were met. Identification of the software assurance need and expectation of the organization. Need to secure a small communication packet through the internet, classify and unclassify enclave. Use of high encryption protocol encryption which is a hardware device that helps secure information in the channel of communication between two distant locations. Software assurance. Proper software assurance is essential for critical infrastructure and system security. Tenets of software assurance are trustworthiness, predictability, and conformance. Trustworthiness. Software that lack vulnerability. Vulnerability will be intention or unintentional error in the code or logic that could result from code written as part of the application or third-party library brought into to expedite delivery that introduce security vulnerability. Predictability. It is the software ability to repeat and produce the same result when executing command independent from the deployment environment. Conformance. Conformance is into software application conformance. It adherent to a plan or system diagram. Conformance can be high more on non-conformance can have more serious issue. Key attribute of the current software development lifecycle. The purpose lead to good software, reduce risk, enable visibility and measurement, enable teaming. Key attributes come as the outcome and result of the process. All are key deliverer of product. Roles are clear. Pre and post conditions are understood and held true. No supply chain risk. Supply chain risk analyze the process surrounding acquisition and provision of various components, software, hardware, and infrastructure components. The origin can be international, the origin an international vendor, and private source software. So, what risk carry those components? You can list 7 categories with respect to supply chain and business continuity. Potential that can compromise national defense and reduce capability. The first risk release is the funding shortfall, bankruptcy, or defunct project. That is a risk that a project of software deployment can face while developing a project. The scope. The scope as a risk is an external environment can require drastic change and impact delivery expectation. Example of a natural catastrophe, COVID-19 crisis. Legal risk. Legal risk can come from dispute in understanding, conflict of interest, lawsuit brought by a person or organization can lead to delay or termination of the project. Environmental. Project footprint on the environment can be negative and result in measurable detrimental impact, lead to society to rejection. So the project can be stopped because of the complaint. Socio-political risk. Change in a regulation law and global treaty can lead to project delay or termination. Organizational. Right people with right training and right tool. So, and behavior. Human factor link, error, bad judgment, malicious insider, disgruntled employee. That's a potential risk for software development, supply chain risk. Vulnerability in the existing software use. Software vulnerability is a glitch, a weakness present in the software or in an operation system. Three ideal factors that explain software vulnerability. The existence of vulnerability in the software. Access. Possibility of hacker to get access to vulnerability. Exploit. The capacity of the hacker to take advantage of that vulnerability via tools or with certain technique. Software option and recommendation for the organization. If each nation member do not publish software. Software option can be limited to 3 options. A continuous statistical, who is the option A, and incentive openness, who is option B, and the mandatory mandate openness. A continuous statistical, option A. This option will lead to Team Ocean to continue to use Microsoft Office 365 and Windows as operating system on its enclave. Microsoft Office has different useful applications such as email client, word processor, spreadsheet, and presentation. As defined mechanism, again, malicious macro by default, update feature by default, feature are disabled when you receive a file. Microsoft Office is the most used software. Incentive openness. So you can decide to get a free open source software such as LibreOffice or OpenOffice that contains several business applications. Open source is often considered more secure because an entire community of people with different interests can review the code and find error or weakness. Australia could take an open source program and add its own code to boost security or remove features that weaken built-in protection. Software option and recommendation for the organization continues. Recommendation. Option A is recommended with a training policy for users to be aware of phishing attacks and recognize techniques to avoid open file from unknown to avoid to open the file from unknown sources. Open sources is free, but it will demand funding for training and time for the software team to master the software and adapt to it. Costs involved in recommendation. There are costs involved in recommendation. Cost of in implementing new infrastructure to accommodate change. Cost of library and projects adding to existing open source library. Licensing costs, copyright, patent or legal restriction, and training costs. Contract language to ensure supply chain system, network, and operation security were met. The software assuring in academia and contract language give guidelines to ensure supply chain system and operation security were met. A sample of language. The acquirer and supplier agree to work together to establish appropriate measures to quantify and monitor the supply performance according to the contract requirement. Specific guidelines should include type of measure to be used, measure reporting frequency, measure refresh and retirement, and threshold of acceptance performance. Thank you very much. So you can conclude this presentation by saying the organization, the operation, operation and risk management were explored on different angles. First angle was the supply chain risk and the cost and the recommendation. Thank you for listening to this video. Question, please.